Hi Adams, it's Miss Kovarik, and I am here with Unit 2A, Lesson 13. Here is your vocab for this chapter. Succeed is a verb, and that is to follow or replace someone in a position of power. Ancestral is an adjective, related to a person's relatives from long ago. Unsettling is an adjective, making people nervous, worried, or upset. Inevitable, adjective, will happen and can't be stopped. Consult is a verb, to ask someone for advice or information. Humiliation, noun, a feeling of embarrassment and shame. Ballad, noun, a simple song usually telling a story. So we are on chapter 8, and the big question for this chapter is, why is the Magna Carta such an important document? So we've got chapter 8, the Wayward King, King John, and the Magna Carta. King Richard I died in 1199 CE. Although he had spent very little time in England, people there still mourned the death of Richard the Lionhearted. Many people had taken up arms and followed this royal crusader to the hot deserts of the Middle East. Many fought alongside him in battle. Without children to succeed him, Richard's youngest brother John became the next king. This is a picture of Richard I. King John was not as popular as his brother. For one thing, he failed to hold on to some of England's lands in France. Less than 5 years after John became king, the King of France attacked the regions of Normandy and Anjou. These were King John's ancestral lands. John attempted to defend these lands, but without his noble support, he was unsuccessful. And this map is showing us that King John lost the lands in orange. Wars cost money, and someone had to pay for them. To do this, King John raised taxes. He taxed nobles and wealthy merchants, and he placed taxes on cities. He also made it more difficult for people to hunt in the royal forests. Dissatisfaction with King John grew among the ruling class. Then King John claimed church property and disagreed with the Pope's choice of who should become the Archbishop of Canterbury. Now he had yet another enemy. In fact, the Pope was so angry with King John that he instructed the priests in England to limit church services. Most people were prevented from participating in the daily and weekly rituals of the church. These were unsettling times indeed. 2 years later, in 1209 CE, the Pope excommunicated King John. Many of the English lords were now completely dissatisfied with their king. The king was just as unhappy with his nobles. And this says the Pope ordered English priests to limit church services. As a result of the feudal system, nobles had a huge amount of power. King John wanted to lessen their power and claim some of their land. The nobles wanted to limit the king's authority. A major conflict was inevitable. Eventually, King John agreed to the Pope's candidate for Archbishop of Canterbury. But by this time, some of the more powerful nobles had already decided to act against him. In 1215 CE, following another English military defeat in France and additional taxes, these nobles rebelled and turned against King John. They captured London. For a short time, there was a military standoff between the rebellious nobles and King John. An important group of English nobles rebelled against John in 1215 CE. In the summer of 1215 CE, both sides agreed to talk about their differences. After much debate, the nobles presented King John with a list of demands. These demands were written down in a document that later became known as Magna Carta or Great Charter. The charter would guarantee a list of rights to the barons, the townspeople, the church, and freemen. The king was required to consult with the nobles if he wanted to make new laws. The king was also subject to the law of the land. Essentially, Magna Carta limited the king's authority. King John was not pleased. However, it soon became clear that if he did not agree to the charter, his nobles would continue to rebel. In June 1215 CE, an official seal was placed on Magna Carta. Copies of Magna Carta were sent out to different parts of the kingdom. Magna Carta was an important written statement that limited the power of English kings. And this is showing that an official seal was placed on the Magna Carta. Magna Carta really only benefited some members of society: feudal lords, the church, the merchant class, and in a general way, all freemen. Still, the document stated that the king must consult with others if he wanted to make new laws or raise taxes, and that courts must recognize the rule of law. In this respect, it is considered to be one of the most important documents in English history. Many of the ideas in this document have been included in the constitutions or governing documents of modern democracies. King John did not have to endure this humiliation for too long. 4 months later, he died of a fever as conflict continued to rage throughout England. King John's son, Henry, was crowned king of this troubled land. Henry III was just 9 years old. Within 50 years of King John's death, England would have a new governing body, or parliament. This parliament included the king, the lords, the knights, and the townspeople in England, providing more people a say in the government and laws. This is a marble coffin lid of King John. And this is a copy of the Magna Carta from 1225 CE, long document. Robin Hood. Did the English hero Robin Hood really exist? It's difficult to say. The earliest reference to the legend of Robin Hood appears to date from about 1377 CE, and the oldest manuscript is from the late 1400s. The stories of Robin Hood's adventures first appeared in the form of ballads. As the legend goes, Robin and his band of men lived in the forests of northern England. Robin was thought to be a hero because he challenged the local lords, and even the king. English kings had raised taxes and introduced strict hunting laws, which prevented many people from entering royal forests. It is possible that there was an outlaw like Robin Hood who challenged these laws. However, it is also possible that a fictional character named Robin Hood was created by storytellers to explain how difficult life was for many people during this time in history. If you were a lady in waiting. Queens during the Middle Ages would have had ladies in waiting to attend to them. If you are destined to become a lady in waiting, you too will leave home at an early age to begin your training. Only girls from noble households can wait upon other noble ladies, including members of the royal family. And this is a young girl from a noble family. Therefore, your training takes place in a noble household. You are expected to acquire excellent manners. You learn to dance, sew, and ride a horse. You learn to read and often to speak a foreign language. You might even learn to be a skillful archer. This is a lady in waiting learning to sew. Your many duties include helping to dress your mistress, brushing her hair, and helping her bathe. You also tend to her clothes, repairing them and cleaning them. As with all ladies in waiting, the purpose of your training is to ensure you eventually marry a nobleman. And this is a lady in waiting brushing her mistress's hair. All right, number 1 asks, what does the word succeed mean in the sentence above? Number 2, King John lost control of the land in blank. Number 3, which group of people were especially unhappy with King John? Number 4, what happened when the nobles rebelled against the king? Number 5, what did the nobles want? Number 6, did King John like the consequences of the Magna Carta? Number 7, who did not benefit from the Magna Carta? Number 8 is true or false. Our democratic government is based off the Magna Carta. Number 9, why was Robin Hood thought of as a hero? Number 10, what was not something a lady in waiting needed to learn? And number 11, what did a lady in waiting hope to accomplish? I hope you have a great day. I will see you next time. Bye, Adams.